Hello, I'm Jody Wolf. You're watching Expoz, July 14, 2016, 2:52 a.m. Birmingham. And the topic, proof there's more people on earth that's other than black. According to Obama, black is the only one that counts. I hate to put it that way, but But let me tell you a story about some of these other people. Number one, this second, God is so far away from millions of minds. These minds have been hijacked. Hijacked by who? Satan, of course, the great deceiver, the liar, the hater of man. This includes men of every walk of life: Muslim, Jew, Indian, black and white, black or white, Native American, Hispanic, and on and on and on. I can call out 248 more. And to pick one single color and leave all others out, black have been singled out as one. Only one and no other. And what he said was, he said, Black Lives Matter. If he said Black Lives Matter too, then that would have included the rest of the people. But he didn't do that. So let me tell you who else matters and who else hears. The Jews, they were almost wiped off the face of the earth. And do you hear them attacking all the Muslim people every day? Of course not. Native Americans in America lost 98.9% of their land. It's gone. It's there, but it's gone. Other people lives on it and calls it their home. But they put these people, the Cherokee Nation, on the Trail of Tears and took them away. My grandmother was 7 when she lost her parents, and they were attempting a return trip back to their homeland. And they didn't make it. They died on the Trail of Tears. They took my 7-year-old grandmother and they adopted her out. But they left her with these words. This is the federal government. Do not tell anyone who you are. And then my grandmother had 17 children. She told 15 of those, do not tell people who you really are. This is what she grew up with. She couldn't tell. 2 twins did not live. And by not living, they never received a name. And before my dad passed away in 98, he showed me where they were buried. And it did have rocks as tombstones. And the rocks said boy and one said girl. And they were on a grave about, looked like 3 feet long. But anyway, there's other people, not just blacks. But the Cherokee Nation, there's something very interesting here. I got to tell you about it. If it wasn't so unique, I wouldn't be talking that much about it. Although that I'm 1/4 Cherokee Indian. In the book of Revelations, chapter 7, verse 1, and in chapter 14, verse 1, God says he sealed 144,000 male virgin Jews to witness during the very bad days that were soon to come. And this soon to come is in our day. It is called the tribulation, the Great Tribulation too. The book of Revelations talks about tribulation. Tribulation will be a very bad time to live in, a very bad place to be around. And a lot of people will be here, but a lot of people won't be here. So now the Cherokee Nation owned land, a lot of land. In North Carolina, North Georgia, northeastern tip of Alabama, and South Carolina, parts of Kentucky, Pennsylvania, East Tennessee, and more. The actual land owned, marked, and cleared, or clear landmarks, indicate their size of the Cherokee Nation. Get this number, 144,000 square miles. Remember, Revelation chapter 7, verse 1, and chapter 14, verse 1, God sealed 144,000 male virgin Jews. Cherokee Nation owned 144,000 square miles of property. Federal government moved them off, took the property away, and made them leave everything behind except what they could carry, and a large number died on that march to Oklahoma because they marched without shoes and proper clothing, without medicine. They just died by great numbers. And when my grandmother was given to a family at age 7, they told her, remember, you do not tell who you are. That was handed down from my grandmother, to my father, and he didn't tell me until I was grown. Too late for me to ask too many questions. He had died. But there was a story, still is a story, that also among the Cherokee Nation were little people, and they lived in and near caves, mainly at the foots of the mountains where the streams, fresh water flowed out of the mountainside, and a lot of them came out of the caves. This is where they lived. And again, they were 2 feet or less in height. But Jesus said, and John, I have you to know something. I have others you aren't aware of. Jesus said, I have others that you don't know of. I have other flocks not of this fold. So he made it clear. Jesus had others. They could have been Chinese, could have been Japanese. They could have been these Cherokee Indians. They could have been Australians, South Americans, blacks in Africa, Russian. But Jesus knew all people. He met all the lands, all, well, you know where I'm going. But here's the interesting part. Jesus died on the cross. And these little people took it very hard. They cried, and they cried, and they cried. And their tears hit the ground. It did something very amazing. But let me finish this, and then I'll go back to the very amazing thing that happened. The church is mentioned in Revelations, but stops in chapter 4, verse 1. Restarts in chapter 19, verse 7. So why is a church left out in the entire book of Revelations and mentioned 23 times prior to chapter 4, verse 1, and not again until the end? How odd is that? It was. And it was because the church was gone. The church was not there. It had left. It left in the tribulation. It left to escape this time period of time that would kill so many people. The locusts will come out. They have stings of scorpions. They'll sting men for 5 months. And they'll cause big sores, grievous sores. And the pain is severe. And they'll weep and seep all the time. They hurt. And the locusts are told to sting as often as they want. But don't sting the green thing, any green thing. And don't sting those that does not have the mark in their forehead or in their right hand. They're mine. You don't hurt my people. That means there were people that received Christ during the tribulation. They were also protected. Those who were raptured prior to, in chapter 4, verse 1, was us. We're gone. So we didn't experience the bad part of the tribulation. But let me tell you what happened to the tears of the little people that hit the ground in these parts that I just named out. And they're not the only places around this world. They're in Russia. They're in other places where they found these things. but never in the great numbers they found them in the Cherokee Nation by the tens of millions. When it rains, these places where they live, the coating of mud or dirt or whatever washes off and leaves these things on the ground exposed. I went there looking one day after I heard the tale. They're called the Ferry Crosses. Ferry Crosses. 2 American presidents wore them around their neck, and one kept them in his pocket because it was good luck. Ferry Crosses. Tears of the ones who loved the Lord so much they cried and they cried and they cried, and their teardrops formed crosses. And I got one. Picked up right off of the ground during a rain. All you got to do is clean out the dirt and the crud between it. And here is another one. There's the end of it. There's a backside. Called them Ferry Crosses. Now look at this angle. Look at this one. Like a Maltese. See the cross over my shoulder? Got them looking like that. But here is one after it's cleaned up. I bought this. I couldn't find this. And this is here. This is one after it's cleaned up. It's almost a perfect square. You see that? And they clean them up with little Dremel bits of softer material that won't hurt that. That's the end of it. Turn it around one more time if I can. That is what they picked up off the ground. All they did is clean it up. Called Ferry Crosses by the millions. The little people. And they knew God because Jesus told his people, he said, I have others that you aren't aware of. I have other flocks that are not of this fold. So in the days of Nimrod, when the tongues were confused and God scattered all those throughout the world, Jesus went and met them. Jesus knew them. He is the creator of them. And most, if not all, loved Jesus Christ so much that the fairies cried and their tears turned into crosses. Guys, this is a true story. I don't know where I've got the piece of paper, but anyway, look it up. Ferry Crosses, Appalachians, and the little people. But I wanted to go here, and I wanted to let you know that there are other people out there, not just black. And they're good people out there, and they're not all just black. So when Obama tags people, Black Lives Matter, let's say Black Lives Matter too. That includes everybody else. Jody Wolf Expoz.